In this video, we're going to learn how to buy a house with owner financing. If you can learn how to do that, you're going to be off to a great start. I'm Mitch Stephen, and I've purchased a house about every 4 to 5 days in or about my hometown of San Antonio, Texas. And I've done it for over 2 decades. So, when I started out, I didn't have any money, and I had to learn how to buy houses with owner financing or seller financing. You began to recognize certain situations that would lend towards the seller wanting to do that kind of deal or to accept that kind of offer. The number one thing that I noticed was when a house was free and clear, I had a good chance or a better chance of getting the seller to finance me the sale. Second is if the owner didn't need the money. Perhaps they were independently wealthy. It was mama's house. He lived in a very rich upscale part of town, and this house was in a very downtrodden, lesser part of town and really wasn't worth his time. He didn't need the money. It was easy. He would take seller financing terms if I could give him something reasonable. Then I began to notice that people worried about the future or their future income or how they were going to live in the future. They were primed to have a seller financed offer if I could explain to them how it would ensure that they would have this stream of payments coming in every month for a long period of time. That would appeal to a certain kind of person, and I learned to start recognizing those people. I also learned to recognize when sellers were going to pass this property along to someone like a child or a couple of children or 3 or 4 children, but they were worried about the children just blowing the money. When I recognized that tendency, I could explain to them how if they sold this house on payments, that their children would have to take the payments as they came or take the money in increments as it was released by an attorney. And this would preserve that their children had an income stream for a long period of time. It also worked especially when they knew they were going to be giving the proceeds of this property upon their demise to a child who had substance abuse problems. Their fear was that if they dumped a lot of money on this particular child, that they would spend it all on drugs and maybe even kill themselves because they had enough money to buy so much that they would overdose. So I started to learn to recognize certain things. So how do you start to recognize these situations? You kind of cause the problem. You cause the interaction. You cause them to start talking, or you ask questions directly that will let you know if these things are in play. I mean, it's not that difficult to ask, well, how much do you owe on the house? As if we didn't already know. But sometimes we don't know. So how much do you owe on the house? Just flat out ask them. What are you going to do with the money? You might say it's none of my business, but if you don't mind, do you have any plans you'd like to share with what you're going to do with this money? It's a lot of money. You're going to be kind of set for a while. Good for you. What are you going to do? You're going to take a trip or go on a vacation, or what are you planning? They'll open up. Get them to open up. Now, if they're older, because one of the biggest objections to people carrying paper or seller financing you when they're older is that they're not going to live long enough to get the payments. Once we establish they don't really need the money, then we can start to talk about a legacy for the children. And then we can start to ask about, well, what kind of kids are they? Do you think they'll be good stewards of the money, or do you care once, some people think, well, when I die, it's their money. Whatever they do with it, they do with it. Other people think, if I die, I don't want them blowing this money. I worked too hard for it. I hope they don't blow it, or I'm afraid they'll blow it. Some people even tell me, I don't want to give it to my children. They'll just blow it. There's the key. I can show them how we can get the money to these children where they can't blow it. They might be able to blow it 1 month at a time, but they'll be blowing it for 25 years. So open up conversations. Start to talk to people. Become their friend. Get the conversation going. Get them to open up. And this is how we start finding out, feeling around, sniffing around to see if they might be primed for a seller financed offer. You get good at it, you'll be surprised at how many people will say yes. One of the biggest mistakes I've made in my house flipping adventure is because I had so much private money, I forgot to ask the owners anymore for the money. I was so satisfied with having private money that for years I forgot to even ask the owners if they would seller finance me. At worst, I should have asked them if they would seller finance me at an interest rate lower than my private lenders were offering me, and just take the pot shot just to see. But I got so comfortable with the way I was doing things that I forgot for a long time to even ask sellers to finance me. When I started back up again, sellers started financing me. You don't get what you don't ask for. Remember to at least try that offer before you move on to an all-cash offer. So that's how you start to feel around and see if your deal even has a chance for seller financing. If this is a little bit over your head, just go back and check out the video, What is Owner Financing? As always, we start with the basics, but if you want some more advanced strategies, check out my third book, My Life in 1,000 Houses, The Art of Owner Financing. You can go to 1000houses.com and click on Mitch's books and read all about what there is to offer there. Thank you.